Life was moving like Love Island, y'all. He asked me to be his girlfriend. The cops came, they asked me if I want a restraining order. That breakup led me to meeting my husband. God took away the dusties in my life so that he can give me an actual man. Her husband was actually friends with that guy from the dinner. And then I remember that guy was Asian and he had a bun. In that moment, I was like, holy moly. Like, I get goosebumps. This is part 2. So if you have not watched part 1, stop right now, watch part 1, catch up, and then come on here. Because the story of how I met my husband is truly like my testimony after giving my life to God. The video that you guys are about to watch was filmed before I posted my testimony. So I just wanted to come on here and say thank you so much for all the comments and all the love. Like, literally, thank you. Get your drink, get comfortable, because today I'm gonna be talking about how I met my husband. I'm really excited to share this story. People always ask us when we're in public,
how do you guys meet?
And I'm like, do I tell them like everything? I'm assuming you watched part 1. So after my last breakup, after the Love Island ex, that guy was a hot mess. Like, I'm telling you, I was so desperate to be loved that I was dating just anybody. So sad. Granted, I have my own flaws, but he was so messed up, y'all. Like, I don't want to trauma dump, but I was in an abusive relationship. So yes, he put his hands on me and I was literally manipulated with like love bombing that I stayed for like a couple more weeks. When I was going through that, none of my friends knew. Literally none of my friends knew. It was like my dark little secret, because it's so embarrassing to be put in a situation where you are in an abusive relationship. You kind of just rationalize that this is normal and this is what comes with love, because you don't know, you haven't experienced that healthy love within yourself. I am not embarrassed of it anymore. Like, I'm not ashamed, and that's why I'm actually like speaking up and saying, hey, this is what I've been through, because it is what it is. Girls go through it. I learned from it and it shaped me to become who I am today. And I'm actually very grateful for that experience, because I had to go through that to really just wake up and realize that I'm trying to seek love in the wrong places when I really just needed to like love myself. And when I say love myself, it's me building the foundation that I have within, which is with God, and trusting God's favor over my life, and respecting myself the way God wants me to. Like, I started using the measures of self-love with how God sees me. Not me already preaching. It was a cherry on top for me that made me actually flee that abusive relationship. The abuse didn't make me flee. You know what made me flee? Long story short, that man cheated on me with another man. And I made my friend, who was actually also on Love Island, I made my friend come with me to his apartment for me to pack my stuff, because I did not want to be left alone with him. So as soon as I got on my flight from Tulum, I packed my stuff with my friend. And guess what, you guys? The cops still showed up, because that man is freaking crazy. The cops came, they asked me if I want a restraining order. I didn't even know what restraining order meant. Like, I'm not from this country. I'm not from America. Like, I didn't really understand what that would mean for me. I just asked the cops to get all my stuff from his apartment, because this man wasn't letting me pack. He wanted to keep all my things in his apartment, and I was like, I need to get my stuff to leave. Anyways, I fled. It was obviously traumatic, but like, I laugh about my trauma. That's how we keep going, okay? I needed to get away from this man. So I went to Miami. And guys, I was actually kind of low-key scared for my life, because this man was making emails, trying to reach out to me. He started calling me different numbers, saying that he was in Miami. I honestly was terrified. I was scared that he was gonna stalk me and find me. And you know, I watched so many crime documentaries, but I generally was scared for my life. But that didn't stop me from trying to find love, okay? So embarrassing. My friend who was staying with me in my Airbnb, she also really wanted to find her husband. I remember one afternoon we were walking to the grocery store, specifically Publix Edgewater. If you're from Miami, you know. In the red light, we held each other's hand and we're like, okay, let's pray for our husbands, okay? We literally did the most dramatic prayer. Granted, I didn't even give my life to Jesus at that time. I was just like praying to God. Like, I always believed in God. I was never an atheist. We did this long little prayer out loud, holding each other's hands with our eyes closed. The next day, I'm swiping through Hinge, and then I see this guy who used to live in my old building. He always was trying to take me out, but I just never like cared. I was like, no, dude. But I was really in my Delulu era where I was like, I'm gonna find my husband. So when I saw him on Hinge, I was like, oh my God, this guy used to live in my building in LA and he's here in Miami. So it was like an immediate, like, maybe this is a sign, maybe this is my husband. Then we matched and he took me out in a few dates, and he was literally like from the beginning telling me how amazing I was. He was sending me flowers to the Airbnb, But I was still keeping my options open, and my friend who I prayed with, she actually invited me to a dinner. This story is very important. Just so you guys know, mark the story on your head because the story is very important. Before we actually went to the dinner, we went to an apartment where everybody that was gonna be in the dinner was there, as they all were having drinks first before they went to the restaurant. And I remember like I walked in and then there was this guy, he's like, oh, you look so familiar to me. And I was like, oh, maybe you've seen me on Love Island, I don't know. He's like, oh, I don't know, like what's your Instagram? And I gave him my Instagram. I actually ended up sitting right next to him at dinner. Me and my friend, we honestly thought that guy was so funny. The guy from the restaurant was just like a guy that like caught my eye, right? But back to the other guy who was telling me how amazing I was, that I matched on Hinge and we lived in the same building in LA. He actually ended up winning me over with all the flowers, all the love bomb. And I remember at that time, I was reading this book called The Universe Has My Back. It said, ask the universe for a sign because the universe talks back to you. It will give you confirmation if you need it. So I was like, bet, let me ask the universe if this guy is the one for me. So I was like, hey, if this guy is the one for me, the man that I prayed for in front of the supermarket with my friend, please show me a white dove and also let me hear the song Toast by Coffee. Guys, I was sitting in my apartment, the Airbnb in Miami, and I was looking out in my balcony, and guess what I saw? I think I even made an Instagram story talking about it, and I think I'm gonna put it up here if I find it in my archives. So I know I look like a mess, but something so powerful just happened to me, like the most divine experience I ever kind of experienced in my life just happened to me, and I want to share with you guys. So a lot of you guys know that I've been in my spiritual journey, and I've been reading this book called The Universe Has Your Back. And inside the book, it's, you know, talking about asking for a sign for the universe, like finding a symbol or a book title, whatever it is that you think is a sign that the universe is trying to communicate with you. Two doves appear on my balcony. This is not a coincidence. Look at them, and they have been sitting here patient. And that night, I went out with my friend who I prayed for to get a husband, and we went out to get hookah. I hear the song Toast by Coffee, and I remember me just like being like, oh my God, I found him. I found him. And I was like freaking out to my friend. I was like, I saw the white doves in my balcony, the song Toast, like this is a sign. God is telling me he's the one, he's the one. He actually ended up asking me to be his girlfriend very fast. I mean, I think we were only like 3 weeks in. Oh my God. Life was moving like Love Island, y'all. And let me just fast forward. That guy was not the one, okay? None of my friends really liked him. And it was just me like defending him, like, no, like you guys. But it's because he love bombed me. Men that love bomb too much, it's like, what's going on here? Nothing traumatic happened in that relationship, thank God. I remember when we broke up, it was actually in Panama. We had a really big argument. He literally just left me in Panama. Like he just like booked his flight and left. And I remember me like begging for him to not leave, not because I wanted him, but because like I was so used to like having somebody that I was so scared to be by myself. I was in such a sad place, y'all. I was so desperate for love that I was begging for someone that I knew was not even meant for me or good for me to stay because I was afraid of being alone. I am just so grateful. Like I actually am so grateful this guy never stayed, never came back, never listened to me begging for him to not leave, because him not doing it broke this cycle. When he noticed that I was like over him, he was fighting for his life. Like he was trying to get me back, literally sending me so many flowers. And I'm so glad that there was a distance between us, like long distance, because it's much easier to stay in a cycle when somebody lives in the same city as you. But anyways, you guys, he literally left me in Panama by myself. I had a trip planned with my friend to go to Costa Rica. So I went from Panama to Costa Rica. I met my friend. Anyways, fast forward, if you guys seen part 1, you guys know how important that Costa Rica trip was for me, how I moved to Sweden because I had no visa and I was basically just single, celibate, and I just gave my life to Jesus. That 1 year of me being single was really me discovering how to love myself, not seek love in the world, not seek love in men, in my relationships. I really learned how to feel worthy, be by my own and not need to be in a relationship to feel loved. I remember towards that end of the year of me being alone with God, I started having dreams of me being in a relationship. And that hasn't happened for a whole year. Like, I didn't want to have anything to do with men. So now that I was having dreams about being in a relationship, I was like, ugh, why is this happening to me? Now I want to be in a relationship. And I almost saw that as a bad thing. I remember having this dream, and it was this guy who was an Asian guy. He had like a bun, and we were laughing in a living room, and I remember his laugh in my dream so vividly. I remember like the mannerisms of how he laughed. He did this thing in my dream that was like like that, and I remember me feeling it, and I remember the comfort and the safety and the chemistry that I had with this man in my dream. And I remember I woke up and I literally missed that man from my dream. I was like, oh my God. And I remember me telling my friend, by the way, that friend, I was supposed to actually stay in her place as soon as I get my visa and go to Miami, because she was waiting for me in Miami. That is very important because it goes with my story. So I was telling her like, girl, I had this dream of this man, and she knew like the journey that I was on, and she was like, oh, cool, whatever. I remember me at night praying for my husband, being like, let him become the man that he needs to be. If he needs to do anything that he needs to do before getting married, like let him do it now. Let him be in his season where he shapes himself for our future. Fast forward, I get my visa, and then 24 hours before my flight, my friend was supposed to stay in her place. She basically just ended up telling me like, hey, you can't stay in my place. Why didn't you tell me this at least 2 weeks ago, or at least a week ago? Why would you tell me this 24 hours before I am flying in? And I remember that really like pissed me off. As soon as I get to the hotel in Miami, I get a FaceTime call. Remember the guy that I met in the restaurant that my friend invited me to that dinner? So a little update about my friend. She got married. That guy who sat next to us at dinner that we were laughing with, he was actually friends with my friend's husband, and now we're all mutuals. I am actually editing this video, and I realized that I didn't even update you guys. So that guy that I met at that dinner in Miami, who I sat next to, since my friend's husband was friends with him, we just became more mutual. So he was more in my radar. Throughout that year of us DMing each other, we gave each other our numbers. You know how you like text a guy, you have like this long distance like relationship with somebody for like a long time. Like, it was nothing like that. We never even talked like romantic like that. I think we were just naturally drawn to each other through social media, because I'm looking at his life, he's looking at my life, and things were just like aligning. Like, he was posting a lot of like personal development content, and I really liked that stuff. But again, I'm going to emphasize, it was really not that serious. Like, I wasn't thinking about the man that seriously, but I think he was definitely in my subconscious mind. So that guy ends up FaceTiming me, and I'm like, oh, hi, like, how are you? I'm in Miami. He's like, oh yeah, I see that you're in Miami. Let's go for lunch. I landed on a Saturday. On Sunday, I'm having lunch with him. And I tell him about my situation, how my friend, I was supposed to see my friend, but I'm not seeing my friend anymore. And he tells me, I'm going to Costa Rica in a week to do a retreat, an ayahuasca retreat. My place is gonna be free. Nobody's gonna stay in there. You're more than welcome to stay in my place while you look for an apartment when I'm gone. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna say yes. Let me just stay at this guy's apartment. And I trusted him because he was friends with my very close friend's husband. And we were in contact for like a year when I was in Sweden. Like, I used to reply to his stories. After the lunch day that I had with him, he said, hey, I have a 2-bedroom. You can stay in the guest room tomorrow because I know you're checking out of the hotel. You can just stay there and wait until like I leave for Costa Rica. Like, you can have your own room and I can just like accommodate you as a guest. And I was like, you know what? That's very nice of you and I will take it, okay? And just keep in mind, you guys, I wasn't drinking. I was celibate. So I did not have alcohol with this man. And the reason why I didn't drink, I have a whole video why I stopped drinking actually on my YouTube, but I wasn't drinking, so I wasn't gonna put myself in compromising situations that I did in the past where I drank with a guy, you get a little bit tipsy and then you end up kissing them, whatever, you know. He was, I think, for 5 days in Miami with me before he had to leave for his trip, and he took me out to the zoo, he took me out to dinner. On the 3rd day of me being there, I got really sick, like I got a cold, and he took so well care of me. He ordered me like so many different types of soups. He was so accommodating. He respected my boundaries. It was so easy to just talk to him. I had so many walls up because of how I was hurt in the past. So I was like, Carol, do not mess up any progress that you have made. But I was like, as long as I keep my promise to not drink and to not have, I'm okay. Like, I'm not gonna be able to go too far into something that I'm not supposed to be in. Like, I will have control. There was this one night, me and him were just like hanging out in the living room, and there was this like one moment that just like shook me, because remember that dream I told you guys about of me being in a relationship with a man who was Asian and had a bun, and how I felt in that dream? Guess what? I remember in the living room sitting in the couch, and he was by the kitchen. He did this laugh and the same mannerism as the guy in my dream. And in that moment, I was like, holy moly. Like, I get goosebumps. Like, I literally get goosebumps. Like, you guys, I was like, oh my God, that's like the guy in my dream. I was like, what? Like I have goosebumps. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have goosebumps. And I was like, the laugh that he did, the haha, like the way he laughed, and the way I felt in the moment reminded me of the dream and the connection that I had with the person in my dream. And then I remember that guy was Asian and he had a bun. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is Asian, he has a bun. And obviously, like subconsciously, I probably was thinking about him because we've been like texting on stories here, back and there. So he might have been in my subconscious mind. But I remember how I felt in that dream and how I knew like that was the connection I wanted to have. And I was feeling it in the moment. And it was such a weird feeling. And it almost felt like a sign from God. And obviously I still was like turned off with like signs from God and all that because of like what happened before. But I was like, oh my God. And then I started really feeling like this connection between me and him grow. Like, it was so natural. We were laughing so much. Like, everything just felt so natural. So when he left to do his ayahuasca trip, which I thought was insane. Like, I didn't even know what that was. I don't know if you guys ever did ayahuasca. Highly doubt it. But you go on a retreat and they take away your phone. You have like a social media detox because it's like such a spiritual retreat. But he was able to schedule flowers to get delivered for me on Valentine's Day. I remember me praying in his house, please allow this man to find you. Help him see you, God, in this journey. Just make him a man of God. And I remember me praying that over and over. Make him a man of God. Make him a man of God. And I remember me just praying for him. And it wasn't me praying for him so that he could be my man. I am so detached from the outcome. Like, if he's my man, he's my man. If he's not my man, he's not my man. And funny enough, when he came back from his trip, he actually made a whole vlog of his ayahuasca trip. That trip changed him, you guys. It's like almost like my prayers got answered. He came back like a man of God. He literally was like, I'm letting go of my old ways. He's the one that took me to church. He's the one that introduced me to the church here in Miami. Like, he literally was like a changed man after this ayahuasca trip. And it was kind of like scary for him because he's seen a lot. You guys can see it in his vlog. But anyways, fast forward, I end up going to LA and going to an influencer trip. And me and him were always sending each other's voice notes. Like, I was so casual with him, like sending him voice notes. We were just very transparent with each other from the get-go. And I remember him telling me like jokingly, like, so when are you gonna come home? And I was like, what are you saying? But low-key, I was like, I wanna go back to him. Like, I miss him. Guys, I go back to Miami, I stay in this man's place. Fast forward, I never move out, and he's my husband, and we have a child together. That is how I met my husband. Every time I ask people, like, how do you know that person was the one for you? They always say, you just know. And I can testify, you will just know. We intentionally decided to get married, have a child, and build a life because we just knew we were meant for each other. I literally cannot envision my life without him. And it wasn't because I needed him. I didn't need him. Before, I felt like I needed men to complete me. But I didn't need him, and I could really see clearly, like, this is the man for me. So although I asked for a husband in front of the supermarket with my friend, God was not going to reveal my husband to me because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready.
You know what's even crazier? I actually met him for the first time maybe 48 hours after that prayer, or like really soon after that prayer, but I just didn't think much of him. But it was him all along. Like, I made that prayer and literally met him so soon after. If you were to ask me in that moment if I would think I would marry that guy, I would say no. Like, honestly. Like,
my husband had to go through a lot. He had to go through his growing journey by himself, and I had to go through my growing journey by myself. God actually made me think somebody else was my husband. If it wasn't me going with my ex, I would have never gotten my visa to come back to Miami, and if I have never came back to Miami, I wouldn't have went out to lunch with my now husband the same weekend I landed in Miami. And let me go even further. If my friend didn't tell me that I couldn't stay in her place, I wouldn't have been in the position to even stay in my current husband's apartment to begin with. Do you see that God will make movements in your life that feel like it might be a loss to you, that it might feel like it doesn't make sense? For example, the breakup with that ex guy, I was like, damn, I thought he was the one, God. Why are you doing this to me? Everything that did not make sense in the moment makes so much sense now, and I am so grateful for all of it. I am so grateful for everything that did not make sense. Everything happens for me and not against me. I used to repeat that to myself all the time. Everything happens for me, not against me. And guess what, you guys? Everything happened for me, not against me. Me going to Love Island was necessary. That breakup led me to my other breakup. That breakup led me to the other breakup. And that breakup led me to meeting my husband. God is gonna take you on a journey so that you can become the person that you need to be to accept that prayer, to accept that blessing. And that's honestly what God has taught me about his plans for me. Every time something goes bad in my life, I'm like, God is working on something, because God will never take away something from your life and not replace it with something bigger. God took away the dusties in my life so that he can give me an actual man, okay? The conclusion is God is so good. I love God, and I'm so happy that I went in this journey and I trusted this journey and I stayed on path. My husband is actually the first healthy, genuinely healthy love that I ever had in my life. And I also want to just make it like a little disclaimer. We are not perfect. I am not perfect. But that is the point. As long as you're human, you're never going to be perfect. And God is always working through us. God is always bettering us. And I also want to make a disclaimer for that 1 year I was in Sweden. I ended up filming the show X on the Beach, was completely wild. And that is actually truly what solidified it for me that I need to stop drinking. And that was also another rock bottom that shook me to really get closer to God. But that was definitely a test in my journey with God, because I failed. And I want to remind you, when you're in the journey with God, don't expect yourself to be perfect, because you're never going to be perfect. But we have a very forgiving God. And another thing that I've learned, God will only forgive you if you forgive others. So you have to really put in the work to forgive everybody that hurt you, and also forgive yourself. Forgive yourself and forgive everybody that hurt you. Because if you don't forgive the people that hurt you and you don't forgive yourself, God is not going to forgive you. And I know that sounds harsh, but learn to forgive. And that journey may not be perfect, but hey, as long as you're on it, right? But anyways, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the part 1 and part 2 series. Let's see what my next week video is gonna be. I post every single Thursday. I love you so much, and leave a comment down below and let me know how you met your hubby, or whatever thoughts you guys have. Love you so much. Bye-bye.